Good afternoon, friends. It is day 38 of Trump's coup on American democracy. We are on February 18th, 2025, and the country is falling apart while Republicans are too stupid to understand this. I don't know why I did, but I jumped into the live of a Trumper, a woman who was just dumber than a bag of hammers. And I was just going to try to educate her. But the minute that she started getting her ass handed to her, she pulled in some loudmouth hillbilly motherfucker who just started shouting things, just yelling, "Look at the vesting clause! Look at the vesting clause!" The vesting clause of the Constitution is the part of the Constitution that defines the co-equal branches of government. It is not something that gives the president, almighty power. Jesus Christ. I don't know. These people are out of their fucking minds. It is impossible to deal with Trumpers when they truly lack the understanding. I mean that they lack the knowledge and the understanding of how their government works, what diplomacy is, why we have diplomacy, why we reach our hands to other nations with aid. Why do we do that? Hold, please. We do that because when you make allies in other nations, it gives you a foothold in other nations. The more allies you have around the world, the more secure your citizens are. When you give aid to Africa to research the AIDS epidemic that is still ongoing there, and you help to control the spread of AIDS and help to treat the AIDS epidemic, you stop it from crossing into your own territory, crossing your borders. And these people are so fucking stupid. They just don't understand it, you guys. And I can't make them understand it, and you can't make them understand it. And these lives that my own friends are holding, and I love you guys very much, but when you are inviting these people up, now, unless we are reaching, these people, then I don't see the point of it. We just have to sit back. We just have to let it hit them. We are not going to change the minds of people who are too stupid to know they need to change it. And it's not even changing minds, because I know that if they had the education and the understanding, they wouldn't think the way they do. They just don't know. They just don't know. And this is not difference of opinion in my personal opinion. This is a lack of knowledge. You can't have an opinion on something if you don't have full knowledge of the subject. So they can call it a difference of opinion all they want, but what it really is a lack of understanding, and you being, a blabbermouth, loudmouth fucking fool with a white male ego problem. And that's what we're dealing with in this fucking country, I swear to God. Let's discuss. Donald Trump, that piece of shit, that fucking pile of dog shit, sent out a tweet/truth, and I'll try to put it up on the screen here for you, that said, "He who saves his country can't break the law," or something to that effect. It was a quote from Napoleon Bonaparte, or a paraphrased quote from Napoleon Bonaparte. And it is the fascist playbook. I mean, when he posted that, we did a cannonball into the fascist waters, friends. We weren't tiptoeing our way there. We just dove right in. And again, Trumpers are just too fucking stupid to see it. Too stupid to see it. So with Donald Trump's suspensions and firings and layoffs of people in all agencies, the agency to get hit last was the FAA. Obviously, we all know that controls the airline industry. That controls your safety when you get on an airplane. And now the powers that be, I forget his name, said, "Oh, we didn't fire anybody who was in charge of critical safety." The entirety of the FAA, in my personal opinion, is in charge of critical safety. So fucking pound sand, you piece of shit. In fact, one man said that he was critical of Tesla and X and Doge on his Facebook, and it was this past week that the certified, what do they call that? When you get the blue check mark? Anyway, that account, that Doge account, started harassing this man online on his Facebook account. And then less than a week later, he was fired from the FAA. And he has a critical security job in the FAA. He's in charge of national security for the FAA. Not in charge, I'm sorry. He works for the portion of the FAA that is in charge of it. So lie to somebody else, bitch. And Elon Musk is out there with all of his millions and all of his government power, just acting like just rolling back and, letting men regress into childhood bully because he's acting this way. Other men are acting this way. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So, Elon Musk is out here with all of his power, acting like a bully, firing all of the people in the organizations that were investigating him. Yeah, that's happening. I'll try to find that for you. There's an actual diagram going around with dates and shit that list, like, it's crazy. It's crazy to see. The USAID freeze is really, really hitting hard across the globe. It's really hitting hard. Ukraine, they get a lot of aid from us. And the CNN report says some 400 calls for help went unanswered when the helpline at Ukraine's veteran hub went silent for a week after key funding from the United States was abruptly cut. Ukrainian NGO gets all sorts of calls. Some come from military families who just found out their loved one was killed in the front lines. Some are from injured veterans who are struggling to cope with their return to civilian life and need navigating the bureaucracy. Just a few days before the freeze, we had a request from a person who declared a suicide attempt and was seeking support, and we were able to provide that support. We don't know how many of those unanswered calls were of that nature. That's unfucking believable. Let me make something real clear to anybody who may see this who doesn't know. We provide aid to our allies, and we make them our allies for strategic reasons. The Republicans did not want us to be allies with Ukraine because Trump didn't want us to be allies with Ukraine. They spread lies and misinformation amongst their people to make this lie sink in and take root, okay? And Ukraine was always our ally. Ukraine has always been our ally. And yes, there was some corruption, and they have weeded a lot of that out. And thankfully, they got a great president in there. But if we don't reach out our hand in diplomatic ways to other nations, then we isolate ourselves and we become sitting ducks. We are sitting ducks. The world is enormous, right? The United States has lots of enemies from global dictators, and we become sitting ducks. Nobody wants to do business with us. Nobody wants to help protect us because our leader is a fucking moron and a fucking asshole. And so isolationism, as it relates to a country, is so dangerous to the people inside of that country. We need to make friends. I mean, imagine your child is a country and you tell that child, do not make friends with anybody at school. You're going to be mean to every kid you see on the playground. And when you get home, you're not going to take calls from anybody. You're not going to let anybody come over. You're just going to come in this house and you're going to stay here. And we're going to protect the boundaries of our home and that's it. How healthy is that for the child? It's the same with a nation of people. You become sitting ducks and you make enemies along the way because of how you've treated people or other countries. And we are on a speeding bullet train into some very dangerous territory. So I want to reiterate something I said in a video that's going viral. With that statement that he made about not being held to any legal standard if he saves the nation. Excuse me. That is when we must strike. That is when we must pull the ripcord and halt everything. No money spent. If you can afford to take, a week off of your job, if you can afford to not shop, to not buy groceries, to walk if you can to wherever you have to go so you don't have to buy gas. I mean, halt it. Just halt. And ladies, no more babies. Stop having babies. They're freaking out over the decline of the population in this country. Why do you think that is? Why would they care if there was a population decline? Do you think it's because they love the American people and they want more of them? No. No. The economy, this world, we cannot, and think of Elon Musk too. He's a big proponent of creating life and making and doubling the amount of people on Earth, right? So they do this because they need more cogs in their machines. They need more taxes to be paid to go funneled right up to their fucking pockets. They don't care about people as a whole or babies or abortion. They don't care about any of that. They just want more cogs in their little fucking machines, okay? Everything is linked. Everything is linked, you guys. The firings, the aid, the diplomacy, the abortion, everything links back to one thing: rich men in power. Everything. And until we can get people to understand this, we're going to clash with each other the way they want us to, instead of clashing with them. So I need for you guys to make sure that you're talking to your families, you're talking to the people in your lives, you're talking to your children. Even if you think your child may not understand, they understand more than you think. And especially, you know how to talk to your kids. So I'm on the Associated Press, and there's a headline that says, Russia and the U.S. agreed to work toward improving ties, ending the Ukraine war in a landmark talk. There's a reason that Russia has been cut off from the global supply. Okay, they don't have many friends for a reason. Because he's a dictator. Until you start treating your people with some dignity and respect, we're not going to allow you to play with the big boys. And that's how it's been for decades and decades. So let me read this to you. Sorry. Saudi Arabia. Russia and the U.S. agreed Tuesday to start working toward ending the war in Ukraine and improving their diplomatic and economic ties. What? Look, I know that I said it's important to have allies and to reach out in diplomacy across the world, but you don't give your hand of diplomacy to dictators. Every president up until this one has understood that. Okay? Anyways, top diplomats said after talks that reflected an extraordinary about-face in U.S. foreign policy under President Piece of Shit. In an interview with the Associated Press after the meeting, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the two sides agreed broadly to pursue three goals: to restore staffing at their respective embassies in Washington and Moscow, to create a high-level team to support Ukraine peace talks, and to explore closer relations and economic cooperation. He stressed, however, that the talks, which were attended by the Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov and other senior Russian and U.S. officials, marked the beginning of a conversation and more work needs to be done. So next on my list is a $4.5 trillion tax cut for the rich, on top of the Trump administration wanting to raise the debt limit $4 trillion. While they're still screaming at us that there's not enough money for these federal groups, for the FAA to keep their employees, for the National Archive, who, by the way, both of their top-level officials just walked out in the National Archive. That is where we keep every bit of history, written history from us, who owned slaves, which slaves, ship records of immigrants. I mean, I'm talking American history is housed in the National Archive, and now it is in the hands of fascists who want to rewrite history and tell a different story to the future. So, sorry about that sidetrack. But they want to tell us that we don't have the money for these things while trying to raise the national debt to $4 trillion and give a $4.5 trillion tax cut to the rich. Let me read this to you. Common Dreams.org is a website that is from people on our side. So the wording in this is not going to be very neutral, which at this point, I don't give a fuck. I don't need neutrality. I know where I fucking stand. Anyway, House Republicans unveiled a draft budget resolution on Wednesday that calls for a $4.5 trillion tax break that would disproportionately benefit the wealthy while proposing $2 trillion in cuts to Medicaid, federal nutrition assistance, and other programs. Lawmakers are set to mark up the House GOP's budget blueprint on Thursday, as Republicans look to craft a sprawling reconciliation bill that can pass both chambers of Congress with a simple majority vote. Last week, Senate Republicans released their own budget resolution that proposed significant cuts to Medicaid and SNAP and other spending that benefits working-class families. Instead of tackling rising prices, instead of delivering relief or helping American people, these motherfuckers are giving more money to trillionaires and billionaires. And I don't know how else we could have warned them. We put it on billboards. We put it on their fucking TVs. And all they could say was, the Democrats are demons and they're liars. Well, bitch, when your kid loses their Medicaid, when your grandchildren lose their Medicaid because you couldn't see past your fucking racism, I'm going to be there to tell them, this is what your grandparents voted for. This is what your parents voted for. I'm sorry you broke your leg and your parents now have to pay a $10,000 hospital bill, but this is what they voted for, and they believed the lies that the Democrats were horrible people. So, I don't know. We couldn't have been more clear. And all they kept telling us was that we were liars. Kamala Harris was unqualified when what they meant was she was a DEI hire. My goodness. The new resolution released by Republican-controlled House Budget Committee specifically calls on the chamber's Energy and Commerce panel to submit changes in laws within its jurisdiction to reduce the deficit by not less than $880 billion over the next decade. The House Energy and Commerce Committee has jurisdiction over Medicaid. Wow. The measure also instructs the House Committee on Agriculture, which has jurisdiction over SNAP, to cut no less than $230 billion in spending between fiscal year 2025 and 2034. They want to do, this is a quote, they want to do a giant tax cut that disproportionately helps the rich while taking away the people's health insurance and food, while still adding trillions to the debt. Bobby Kogan, a former Senate Budget Committee staffer who is now Senior Director of Federal Budget Policy at the Center for American Progress, wrote on Twitter. Tweet, whatever that's fucking called. We told you so. Listen, there are kids in Ohio. A woman I had on my live the other night, her grandson lost his Medicaid, and his parents were Trumpers. This is happening. It's happening all over the place, you guys. And I just don't know how we could have been more clear. So yesterday, which was Monday the 18th, AOC threatened Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, to go ahead and pursue an investigation into her because what she did apparently was against the law, when what she did was she hosted a couple of webinars for her constituents who might be undocumented to know what their rights are. And that's what her job is. That is exactly what her job is. Anyway, let me read this to you. On Monday, AOC dared Trump's immigration czar Tom Homan to pursue an investigation against her after he attacked the New York Democrat in 2 television appearances. He said he has asked the Justice Department to look into whether she violated the law by holding a webinar informing constituents of their rights. Fascism. Do you hear this? This is fascism. When your own elected representatives are being investigated for advising you of your constitutional rights. Here's what AOC said. This is why you fight these cowards. The moment you stand up to them, they crumble. AOC wrote on social media after Homan, blah, blah, blah. He called her the dumbest congresswoman ever elected to Congress in an interview on far-right network Newsmax. The resort to a personal attack, said the New York Democrat, shows that Homan has nothing. The Fourth Amendment is clear, and I'm well within my duties to educate people of their rights. He can threaten me with jail and call me names all he wants. He's got nothing else. Less than an hour later, AOC wrote, "Go ahead," in response to a separate interview in which Homan told Fox News host Sean Hannity that he has asked Deputy Attorney General to examine whether the webinar amounted to teaching people how to evade ICE arrest. Let the people see you for what you are, Ocasio-Cortez wrote in a response. Good for her. I'll try to show you those pictures. Sorry, I'm just reading. ICE does not have the right to enter your home without a valid warrant signed by a judge, reads a flyer produced by AOC's office, a message that was echoed during last week's webinar. Days after the webinar, Homan said on Fox News that he sent an email to the Deputy Attorney General asking if she was impeding the enforcement. Maybe he can learn to read, the New York Democrat wrote in response. The Constitution would be a good place to start. I fucking love her. She's great. I think that with what's going on right now and the fervor with which people want to do something, that if AOC were to run right now for president, I think she would win. Her or Jasmine Crockett. Either one. Either one. I mean, I know they're considered junior, I believe, in their positions, but I don't think that matters one iota. Not one bit. But I want you to notice the fascist steps these people are taking. First, just going into homes without warrants, ISIS threatening people, to be investigated for teaching people about their own constitutional rights. Jesus. The president telling the people that he can do whatever he wants as long as he calls it saving the country. Man, we are fucked if the people don't rise up. That's all I can say. The people need to rise up. So, I think I'm going to end it here, friends. And I want you to know, I'm with you all the way. I'm with you until the very end, until I have to get my family out of this country. Okay? And I don't know if that's going to happen. I know many people who are already packed and ready to go. Some are going to Ireland. Some are going to Spain. I mean, they're spreading out all over the globe because they cannot stay here. And I feel that to my core. But not being somebody who's wealthy, I can't just up and go anyway, even if I wanted to. And I do want to. I've been wanting to move to Canada, to be quite honest with you, for probably 2 decades. I wanted to move to Canada. So Canada is always in my heart. I hate what's going on. I hate what this country is doing to them. And I stand with Canada. If I have any Canadian listeners, go ahead, shout out in the comments. You will have a lot of support here. We are your family. We are your family over here. Anyway, I want to remind you guys to join the National Ground Game at nationalgroundgame.com, I believe it is. You can go to National Ground Game's website and you can sign up to do postcards. You can sign up to, if you're in District 1 or District 6 in Florida, you can sign up to actually go door to door to get people registered to vote. Let me see if I can get the website here. Well, I'll try to put the website in the comment section for you. It's nationalgroundgame.com or .org. I'm not quite sure. But so far, they've raised $238,436, you guys. That's amazing. And all of this money goes towards helping educate people in these districts about Gay Vallemont and Josh Wheel. The goal being to put Democrats in those seats so that we can take back the House. If we win those 2 seats, then we are even numbered. We have an equal number of Republicans and equal number of Democrats. And then we will need a big push for the New York seat. So that's what we're going to have to work on. I want you guys to go to National Ground Games website, which is linked in my link tree, in my TikTok, and also in my Blue Sky. So it's easy to access. Everything you need is there. You can do postcards, like I said, you can donate, or you can go door to door if you live in the district. So I thank everybody for hanging out. Remember, we were watching Hunger Games. We watched the entire trilogy over the weekend, and boy, was it inspiring, because every bit of it rang so true to what's happening here. And I just want to remind everybody that if Trump and his cronies want to burn down America, we're going to burn down their backyards too. Okay? They don't get to steal from the American people without us rising up. And I can say that here. And the American people, wait till you piss off all the farmers. Wait till you piss off all of the rednecks in the South who got nothing to fucking lose. The people who, rely on SNAP benefits and Medicaid to keep their children healthy. They're coming for it. So you won't just be fighting the liberals, you'll be fighting the people who put you in office. And that will be the day that his reign of terror crumbles. So hopefully he gets to that soon. Anyway, friends, stay safe, protect each other, link arms, reach out to community, find community. If you are a transgender individual, know that you are loved, you are safe here in our community. And if you need help, reach out to somebody and we will find you some assistance. Okay, so make sure that you are staying safe and know that this will pass. Okay, this will pass. You are loved. I love you all. And be good to one another, okay?